Hello friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today I'd like to show you this bright and cheerful card I made using the Sunshine and Rainbows bundle found in the New Occasions catalog on page 33. This card, with its bright colors and its glimmer paper, are sure to make the person opening the envelope smile when they see the card. So to make this card, we're going to be using the Sunshine and Rainbows stamp set. It has all the arches of the rainbow images. It has a birthday image, and it also has a sentiment for encouragement. You can't have a rainbow without a little rain, wishing you a sunny day. It has a cloud image, a sun image, and a lightning bolt. These cute little raindrops can be stamped to accent your card, but if you want to add some 3D element, you can use the glitter and clear epoxy shapes. Now these circular and teardrop shaped epoxy accents come self-adhesive, and there's 176, one sheet of the clear and one sheet of the glitter. So these are going to be a cute accent on many different cards, but also especially with the Sunshine and Rainbows bundle that we're going to be using. The framelits that come with the stamp set cut out the images of the arches, but they can also be used on this card to cut out just the cardstock to create the rainbow. You've got a singular cloud image and then two dies that cut out the horizon landscape of clouds. You can cut out your sun, you can cut out the lightning bolt, and then there's another cute sun, horizon sun that you can also do. So we'll be using all of those dies on this card. So let's get started with the materials you're going to be using. The card base is soft sky. So this is just a half a sheet of your 8.5 by 11. On the 11-inch side, just cut it at 5.5. That gives you 8.5 by 5.5, and then you score it in the middle at 4.25. So you need 8.5 by 5.5 piece of cardstock, and then score it at 4.25, and then that creates a landscape card that fits into an A2 sized envelope. Now the inside of our card is just your typical Whisper white, and it has a 1/8 inch border the whole way around so you can see the soft sky. So that means this piece of white is going to be 4 inches by 5.25. 4 inches by 5.25. You're going to need a 1 inch by 5.5 inch piece that's going to be at the bottom of your card for the sentiment. You're going to need a 1.5 inch square to do your stamping of your sun and die cutting. You're going to need 2 of the 1.5 by 2.25 inch Whisper white, and that will cut out your 2 clouds here. And then you're also going to need a piece the same size, 1.5 by 2.25, to do the glimmer cloud that's on the inside. And then the 2 pieces of horizon of clouds, you have a Whisper white one and you have a glimmer one. The glimmer one is 1 3/4 by 5.5, 1 3/4 by 5.5, and then the white one is 2.5 by 5.5. So let's get started. So the first thing I did to make this card is I needed to have the first part done, which would have been the sentiment on the bottom of the front of the card. And then that gave me the building point of the rest of the card. So what I did is I stamped "May Your Birthday Be Bright and Beautiful" using real red ink, and I stamped it at the bottom of my 1 inch by 5.5 inch piece of Whisper white. And then I just adhered it to the front of the card along the bottom. The next thing I did was I took my 2.5 by 5.5 inch piece of Whisper white, and I took the die that has more of the cloud puffs on it, and I just put it through my Big Shot with the highest peak right up towards the top. And when I put these through my Big Shot, some of them will fit. Not this one probably would fit this way, but always put them this way going into your Big Shot. You have more control over it and less chance of things getting bent. So you're just going to run that through the Big Shot, and you're going to end up with this lovely landscape of clouds. So what I did is I put some glue at the bottom of my clouds, and then I want to create this design element, this little piece of blue that just breaks up all the white. And what I did is I just use my grid paper when I'm trying to make something straight. So I just brought my card down, and then I used the lines on each side of my grid paper and matched them up. And then I have my first layer of the clouds. Now don't put all of your adhesive on the back of the top of the clouds because we're going to be slipping the rainbow in there. So I just put that piece down, and then I took my 1 3/4 inch by 5.5 inch of the Dazzling Diamonds glimmer paper, and I die cut it using the other Framelit die. I just put it there up towards the top of the paper, and then I die cut it through my Big Shot, and I ended up with this piece. And so then again, I used my Tombow glue along the bottom. This one you don't have to be as careful with because we're not tucking anything in like we are with the white one. And then I just lined it up straight and flush with that first line on the Whisper White clouds. And see, like I always say, it's nice to have that wiggle room when you're moving something around. So now we have our 2 layers of clouds. The next thing I did was I cut out all of the layers for the arches of my rainbow. Now the colors I used were Rich Razzleberry, Pacific Point, Wild Wasabi, Daffodil Delight, Pumpkin Pie, and Real Red. Now I'll have measurements, exact measurements, if you're doing a class of what sizes you'd want to have to die cut those arches. But for sake of right now, I just went and got all the scraps that I had. So the thing that I did to make this rainbow is I found it easiest to take a piece, good old piece of Scotch tape. Okay, and then I just put my Scotch tape down on my paper. And then I took my first biggest arch, which was the Real Red one, and I just put it onto the Scotch tape. Then I took my next largest arch, which was my Pumpkin Pie. I lined up the bottom edges of the arches, and then I put on the Pumpkin Pie. Then I took my daffodil and put the daffodil. And then I went to the next one, which was my Wild Wasabi. And I just keep layering them down using that piece of Scotch tape as my adhesive. And then last, I used the Rich Razzleberry. I've seen people make these rainbows in all the subtles colors that's really pretty too, and it just gives a nice, so then you'll see that you have on the back that's holding it here. So then I just took a couple extra little pieces to give it a little stability, just some small pieces, and then it just gave me a more stable rainbow. And then what you'll just do is take your paper snips, and I just trimmed off any excess Scotch tape that showed. And here, it's a little bit easier to pull this back on the purple, the Rich Razzleberry. And there I have my rainbow. So the next thing we'll want to do is tuck this rainbow back behind this big puff on this cloud. And then this one's just going to be free here, and we're going to be covering it up with this sentiment. So what you're going to do is put some glue on the back of your rainbow. And this is where we're glad that we did not glue this down, because now we can pop the rainbow behind the cloud, and then just adhere it to the front of the card. And then you can now put a little bit of adhesive on your card behind those clouds to keep them flat. And then I just added some dimensionals to the back of the sentiment, wishing you a sunny day. And I just put it right at the bottom of the rainbow here. And so the next thing I did was added a little sunshine to make your day bright and beautiful. So put your sun up there. And then I thought the card, I wanted to put that cute little unicorn from The Beautiful Day, but then I just wasn't having very good coloring skills that day. So my unicorn wasn't turning out. So I decided, well, what can I put there just to give a little more dimension? So I thought, oh, another cloud. So once you put something on dimensionals, it just kind of lights up your card. So I just popped another cloud right there. And so that was the front of my card. Really a simple card. Die cut, die cut, die cut, die cut, and then you just roll these out through your Big Shot, stamp your sun, and your card's done on the front. So the inside, especially if you're doing a class, you want to show your students how fun it is to make a cardstock rainbow, but it's equally fun to make a stamped rainbow. So what I did for that is I got out a lot of blocks and a lot of colors of ink, and I started with my insert. I am going to protect my little piece of paper here, since it's a nice, fresh, clean piece of glimmer paper here. I mean, grid paper. So what I did was I opened up my smallest arch, which was my rich razzleberry, and then for the sake of a class or for your own safety, I just labeled each of my arches. So I just went purple, blue, and then I labeled the color for all the stamped images because some of them look almost the same size, so it's better to like do that. And you can take a Sharpie and write on your acrylic blocks and they'll come right off with cleaner, alcohol, or whatever you clean your blocks with. So what I did was I took the purple, rich razzleberry, and what I did was I put just the left edge off the paper. So I took the left edge off the paper. Then I knew as I layered my rainbow that each layer would go farther and farther off the paper. So you do your first one, which was a rich razzleberry. My next one was Pacific Point. So I opened that ink pad up. And then I inked up the Pacific Point. And then I just lined it up on the right side, right over the purple arch. And I stamped that. And then I just kept going with Wild Wasabi, Daffodil Delight, the Pumpkin Pie, and the Real Red. So it really gave a neat, now where is our card? So that is how you make that rainbow. And here's the card we were making. So then I was able to put a little glue in my corners of my card. And then put it in the inside of the card with 1/8 inch border all around. So I had my rainbow. And you don't have to be especially careful when you're making this, because if they're not perfectly straight, which I was amazed that came out for me, you can, you'll be covering it up with this glimmer cloud. And this glimmer cloud, you could use a white cloud on the inside, but I think carrying the glimmer cloud to the inside of the card just gave it some extra pizzazz. So there we go. Then we just add the glimmer to coordinate with the glimmer on the front. And then you've got to, on the same card, you've used cardstock to make a rainbow with the die cuts, but you've also stamped the rainbow on the card with the same colors that you use, the rich razzleberry, the Pacific Point, the Wild Wasabi, Daffodil, Pumpkin Pie, and Real Red. So I think this card is going to be a fun card to send to somebody on their birthday, wishing them a bright and beautiful birthday. Remember, you can always go to my blog, cindyleebedesigns.com, to get all the measurements for this card. You can find all the materials that you'll need for this card. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me via my email, cindyleeb@gmail.com, or you can always call or text me at 724-323-2296. Thanks for buzzing by, friends.